Today we're heading to the wild island where we first feel the true face of the Grand Line, the place that completely changes the fate of the Straw Hat crew, Whisky Peak. How Netflix handles this arc in one piece. Season 2 will be one of the biggest tests that determines the future of the season. But before we jump into the details, I want to say this. You guys are my crew, just like the Straw Hats, and right now, the channel needs a little support. We're dealing with some serious algorithm issues. YouTube hasn't been recommending our videos lately. So if you could drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, it would really help us push the videos forward again. I'd truly appreciate the support. All right, if we're all set, let's get started. The first real step into the Grand Line could become a tone-setting opening that shapes the entire season if Netflix gets the pacing right. The chaotic weather shifts exploding right after leaving Reverse Mountain, an atmosphere that turns from sunny to stormy. From calm seas to a raging cyclone in seconds can prepare viewers for the Grand Line's madness if handled correctly in live action. Nami desperately trying to control the route, Luffy running around, Usopp and Sanji screaming in panic, and Zoro somehow sleeping through the chaos could create the perfect opening that blends comedy and danger. With real wind machines, fast cuts, and slight comedic touches, Netflix can perfectly capture the spirit of the Grand Line. Takes no jokes, but it's stupidly fun. Once the storm finally settles, those massive cactus peaks appearing on the horizon become the very first signal of Whisky Peak's strange yet welcoming nature. When the crew learns the log pose needs time to set, they realize they have to stay on the island. And this is where atmosphere becomes critical because Whisky Peak greets the Straw Hats with warmth, maybe too much warmth. The entire town greeting pirates with cheers, music, and food looks like, is there really a place like this even in the Grand Line? If the live action uses colorful lighting, dense crowds, and exaggerated hospitality, it can give viewers an early sense of something's off here, building tension from the start. When the festival night begins, Luffy inhaling an entire table of food in seconds, Usopp introducing himself as the town's legendary hero, Sanji turning on all his charm for every woman in sight, these scenes can offer a comedic and character-rich feast in live action. But the highlight of this part will undoubtedly be Zoro's drinking contest. Seeing Zoro down multiple barrels of alcohol and still stand tall is a perfect power showcase moment for Netflix. If filmed properly, it could be both funny and iconic, highlighting Zoro's incredible endurance. But slowly, the atmosphere should begin to shift. The camera should reveal forced smiles, fake laughs, and strange glances. The audience should begin to feel that the overwhelming hospitality hides something darker. As the night goes on and everyone seems to fall asleep, the town's true nature reveals itself. The same people shouting, "Welcome," suddenly appear with swords and guns, exposing Whisky Peak as a bounty hunter town controlled by Baroque Works. How Netflix handles this tonal shift will be crucial. Warm lighting suddenly turning cold, the cheerful music cutting to an eerie silence, and smooth camera movements snapping into sharp angles could shock the audience. But the town has a problem. Zoro was never asleep. The moment Zoro slowly opens his eyes, draws his sword, and shows he's been aware the whole time could become one of the live-action adaptation's standout moments. And this is where the real storm begins. Zoro cutting down an entire town by himself isn't just the heart of this arc, it's your favorite moment, and Netflix must turn it into one of the strongest sequences of the season. Chase and fight scenes running across rooftops, alleyways, and narrow passages can absolutely shine with real sword choreography, practical effects, and heavy camera work that emphasizes Zoro's weight and power. In the anime, this sequence was comedic and fast-paced, but in live action, it can be more stylish and samurai-inspired. If Netflix nails this moment, Zoro becomes the star of Season 2, just like Drum Island's emotional weight belongs to Chopper. Whisky Peak's action belongs entirely to Zoro. As the true scale of Baroque Works is revealed, Zoro's fight spreads across every corner of the town. Netflix must pay close attention to location diversity here. Whisky Peak isn't just wide streets. It has tunnels, church towers, rooftop jumps, and uneven terrain. Zoro cutting down groups with a single strike, leaning against walls to dodge attacks, and using opponents' own momentum against them can create amazing moments if done with practical stunts. These scenes prove Zoro is a swordsman operating at true Grand Line level. Longer takes and uncut choreography would be a fantastic choice to highlight his skill and presence. Amidst the chaos, We meet the man posing as Igarappoi. When he shifts from a goofy local leader to his true self, Igaram, Netflix can completely change the tone of the arc with the right performance. And Miss Wednesday revealing herself as Vivi, the Princess of Alabasta, can become a massive live-action twist. Netflix should portray this reveal not with a soft transition, but with a sharp tonal break. Because this moment isn't just an identity reveal, it's the beginning of the Alabasta War, the first appearance of the crocodile threat, and the moment the Straw Hat's fate takes a dramatic turn. Dramatic music, a slow pullback shot, and prolonged close-ups can elevate this reveal significantly. Just when things begin to make sense, high-ranking Baroque Works agents arrive, Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. Their abilities were comedic in the anime, but in live action, they can form a threatening yet entertaining duo. Instead of relying entirely on CGI for Mr. Five's explosive attacks, a hybrid approach with practical effects can give scenes a more grounded feel. Miss Valentine's dropping from the sky weight technique could become a standout moment with proper wire work and slow motion. When the duo nearly kills Vivi and Zoro steps in at the last moment, it becomes one of the arc's defining dramatic peaks. This scene shows Zoro isn't just strong, he can instantly decide whom to protect, even in chaos. That's when Luffy wakes up unleashing complete chaos. Seeing the destroyed town and thinking Zoro attacked innocent people, Luffy gets furious. This misunderstanding can become both comedic and dramatic gold in live action. Luffy's explosive anger clashing with Zoro's calm determination creates a classic two alphas collide moment. Gum attacks clashing with sword techniques, dust flying everywhere, and the town being destroyed again. Netflix can turn this into a full-on spectacle. Their fight is silly but meaningful. It deepens their bond while showcasing how easily miscommunication explodes into chaos. If handled correctly, it can become one of the most talked about scenes of the season. But when the true enemy appears, Luffy and Zoro immediately abandon their fight and stand side by side. That is the One Piece spirit. When Mr. Five and Miss Valentine's attack begins, the two fighting back to back can create a scene that's both comedic and heroic. Luffy's carefree confidence paired with Zoro's sharp, efficient attacks can turn the fight into a brilliant duo sequence. Their synchronized movements and small glances at each other can subtly show how naturally they work together, even right after beating each other up. Just when everything seems over, a shadowy figure enters a woman whose presence alone changes the entire atmosphere. Miss All Sunday. Her first appearance in live action must be perfect. Robin's calmness, slow stride, and lightly mocking tone should immediately shift the room's energy. In the anime, this moment is subtle. Netflix can make it more intense and cinematic. The camera rising slowly from her feet to her face, the wind quieting, the debris settling, everything should signal that this woman is far more dangerous than anyone else. As Crocodile's right hand, Robin isn't just an agent, she's one of the architects of the entire Alabasta conflict. If Netflix captures the contrast between her calmness and her threat level, she'll be unforgettable from the very first second. During Robin's conversation, Igaram's plan to help Vivi escape comes to light. In live action, this scene can be much more emotionally powerful. The anime moves through it quickly, but Netflix can expand it, showing Igaram preparing a decoy Vivi disguise, risking his life to protect the princess. These added touches can deepen the audience's emotional connection. Robin watching with a cold smile and the sudden explosion of his ship can become a chilling visual that showcases Crocodile's ruthless reach. After the explosion, Vivi's shock must hit hard in live action. This is her first moment of complete helplessness, the first time she truly feels the weight of her country's fate. Netflix can enhance this scene with a long silence, a slightly shaky camera, and Vivi's trembling breath. After witnessing this tragedy, the Straw Hats are no longer just pirates seeking adventure, they're being pulled into a war that will decide the future of an entire kingdom. Vivi's broken voice, Nami's worried expression, Sanji's serious glare, and Usopp's shocked silence can all highlight the gravity of what's ahead. When Vivi finally asks, "Will you help me?" it becomes a golden emotional moment for the live action. Netflix can amplify this moment using soft lighting and a close-up of her terrified yet determined face. Luffy's answer carries the entire soul of One Piece. "Crocodile? Who's that? We'll beat him up. Problem solved." Iñaki Godoy must deliver this line with both innocence and resolve because this is the essence of Luffy's leadership. No matter how big the threat is, his confidence becomes the anchor of the entire crew. When the Whisky Peak arc ends, nothing is the same. Netflix must reflect this shift with impact. The crew is no longer just chasing pirate fun, they are now heading straight into a conflict that will decide the fate of a nation. With Vivi's revelations, Crocodile's looming shadow, Baroque Works scale, and Robin's first appearance, the Alabasta saga begins to form. If Netflix slowly transitions the color palette to warmer tones and gives a sense of an approaching larger journey, viewers will deeply feel that a turning point has arrived. Whisky Peak is the first major crossroads that defines the Straw Hats' place in the Grand Line. Netflix must nail the tonal transitions because comedy, betrayal, action, and drama constantly swap places in this arc. One minute the Straw Hats are laughing at a feast, the next minute the deadly face of Baroque Works appears. Live action must make these shifts feel organic, not jarring. The contrast between the fake joy of the night and the cold reality of the morning can be made stronger with lighting and music. This way, viewers don't just watch the unpredictability of the Grand Line, they feel it. The true strength of Whisky Peak is that it tests the Straw Hats' internal dynamics more than external threats. Luffy and Zoro fighting due to a misunderstanding is an incredible opportunity for Netflix to show the depth of their brotherhood. Instead of rushing through the action, the live action can focus on their emotional reactions. Luffy's explosive anger and Zoro's quiet but unyielding resolve reflect their personalities perfectly. If done right, this scene could become one of the most memorable moments of the season. As the crew prepares to leave Whisky Peak, Netflix must emphasize that the story is shifting from a small-town adventure to a massive political crisis. Vivi explaining the civil war in Alabasta, Crocodile being introduced as a tyrant manipulating his people, and Baroque Works' thousands of agents plotting to overthrow a kingdom should all be portrayed with a darker, heavier tone. These scenes help viewers understand how serious the upcoming Alabasta arc truly is. Netflix can hint at the scale of the conflict using maps, symbolic imagery, and ominous depictions of Crocodile. Small character moments, Nami's money-smart instincts, Sanji's gentle protectiveness toward Vivi, Usopp's fear turning into bravery are equally important. These details show that the journey to Alabasta strengthens not just the stakes, but the bonds within the crew. If Netflix focuses on facial expressions and subtle gestures instead of rushing these scenes, viewers will feel the Straw Hat family growing organically. And in the end, Whisky Peak becomes one of the most crucial narrative foundations of One Piece. Season 2 for story, tone, and character development. If this arc is handled properly, it sends a clear message. The Straw Hat crew is no longer just a group of fun-loving pirates. They're becoming a team capable of carrying the fate of a nation, the hopes of millions, and the harsh truths of the Grand Line. If Netflix blends this arc with a powerful opening, a strong action-driven middle, and an emotionally heavy closing, Whisky Peak could become one of the most unforgettable episodes of the live-action adaptation. Every moment Vivi's reveal, Robin's first appearance, Zoro's rampage, and Luffy's unwavering resolve pushes viewers directly toward the storm of Alabasta. Whisky Peak is the first major turning point for the Straw Hats, and if Netflix handles it right in Season 2, it could elevate the entire series to a new level. Zoro cutting down an entire town, Vivi revealing her true identity, Robin stepping out of the shadows for the first time, and Luffy saying, "Crocodile, we'll beat him up." All of these make this arc one of the strongest combinations of action and emotion in the season. So what do you think? How should the live action handle this arc, and which scene are you most excited to see? Let's talk in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications. The Grand Line journey is just getting started.